Hey, everybody, Rob Gauthier, the ET Whisperer. How you guys doing out there? It is a wonderful evening to be with you guys. I want to thank all of you guys who have shown up so far. All right, I had to check my audio. It looks and sounds wonderful. So I'm going to shut that down real quick here, guys. Make sure that's not playing in the background. Real quick. All right, that's shut down. And yeah, perfect, guys. So how are you guys doing? Can everyone hear me well? Sounds good. Hello, guys. How are you guys doing tonight? Galactic Travel Channel, hello. That's our friend Casey. Veggiealicious, how are you? Fincastle Underground, William, how are you guys doing? We've got our live chat turned on today, guys, so you can feel free to chat up. This is something that I really hope you guys do use today. If you guys can use the chat, I'm going to be talking to you. I want to hear some of your guys' feedback, all that good stuff. Marlena, hello. Mel, hello. How you guys doing? Julie, hello. How are you? Oh, another Michigander in the house. How are you? Michigan is a crazy place right now, guys. Hello from Hawaii. Ronald, hello. Hello, guys. I'm glad you guys are here tonight. I want to thank you guys for being here tonight. I know everybody's been cooped up. Well, at least some people have been cooped up. Others have been going out and about doing their own thing. Hello, Nick, Daniel, Naja, hello all of you guys. All the way from Australia, hello. Oh, man. Well, thank you guys for being here tonight. I'm going to try to keep my eye on the chat and be able to talk to you guys too. But my monitor's down here, camera's up here, so forgive me if I do that. Publicly licking doorknobs. Yeah, that's one way to do it. All right, guys. Marco, hello. Kalina. Wonderful Kalina. Yes, I will be channeling Aridif today, guys, too. But before I do that, hello, Randy from Thailand. How are you, brother? It's been a while. It's nice to see from you, hear from you. Hey, guys. I will be channeling Aridif a little later, but I want to talk to you guys first for a little bit. So if you guys are basically here to just listen to Aridif, it'll be a little while. So if you want to tune out, I totally get it. But I'm going to have a chat with you guys for a little bit. I feel there's a lot of things that we've got to talk about that have been in the air recently. I don't think anyone's having an easy time lately. Some more easy than others, but regardless, the collective is going through a thing right now. I've seen a lot of people on, a lot of people channeling, a lot of people talking about it. And as you guys know, or maybe don't know, me and Kalina have had a new baby, and she is right around 9 months old. That's how long it's been, believe it or not. And that keeps us busy. We also have my son here with us, staying here, and he stays here more than he used to. Very long periods of time. So between the two, they keep us busy, and it is very amazing. Thank you for the congratulations, guys. Last night on our Patreon, I brought her on camera and talked, and that's the other thing. The last two, the 2 years of, I'm sorry, I was reading and thinking at the same time. For 2 years, I've been doing the Patreon, and the last 2 nights, I actually have broadcast live. That's all my Patreon people, and we brought out the baby to say hello, and she was super adorable. Right now, she's not, but it's definitely something that's too adorable to see. Personally, most people break down of adorable overdose when they see her. So I want to say thank you guys all for showing up here, for being a part of tonight. Yeah, we want to do this tonight, guys. So I want to start out by saying some of the things I want to talk to you guys are strictly from my own perspective. Just like Aridif, just like Treb, they share reflections of your own energy with you, of the collective energy, and they give you their own perspective of that energy. Well, tonight I'm going to be sharing some of my perspectives. Some of this will resonate with some of you, some of it will not. But it's my own energy that's gone through a fight within myself to talk or not to talk about certain subjects. And this isn't just about this. It isn't just about some of the things we're going to talk about tonight. It's things that have been going on for years. And as a channeler, there is a standard that some people hold me up to that makes it above a normal, average, everyday person who has their own thoughts, opinions, who doesn't necessarily live in the perfect bubble that the love and light community desire to have. Humans, especially who channel in, or especially who are in teacher roles. But for those of you guys who know me, I don't buy into that whole teacher role bullshit. We're all teachers. We're all students. We're all co-creators. And I'm coming to you guys as a fellow human being tonight, and of course a channeler a little later tonight, to talk about some heavy things. So first of all, coronavirus is the issue at hand, the issue of the day. So I want to check in with you guys here in the chat. Let me know how you're going, guys. I would love to hear from you guys. Love to hear how you're doing, how you're feeling. If you're going through issues, a lot of people we've been talking to have been going through fear. They've been going stir crazy. They've been very angry at the government for suppressing their rights, for keeping them locked into homes. Others who are mad at people who aren't staying in their homes. So there's a lot of emotions in general that are happening right now. Race B, hello. It's been a while. Thank you. Paranoid to go outside, extreme anxiety. Yeah. I've had moments where I've also had that. Not so much paranoid to go outside. When I go out, it's kind of like the safe sex of the high school days. I go out with my mask and my gloves fully protected and fully prophylacticized, if that's a word. And I keep myself out there and protect myself out there. This is one of the things that I've gone through. And before we even get into things, I'm going to let you guys know. Most of you guys know about my son, his conditions. He has cerebral palsy, multiple seizure disorder. He's 21 years old. He can't speak. He can't walk. He can't eat. He has a surgical tube in his stomach where he's fed. He also has immunity issues. A lot of the things that are very difficult. So right now, this fear doesn't exist for myself, and it doesn't exist for Kalina. It did exist for the baby until we had talked to the doctors and looked at the statistics ourselves and saw that almost no one under the age of 5 was dying from it. But it was mainly people who were elderly and people who have conditions like my son. So right there, if my son gets it, then it's right in that top category of possibility to die, having a much higher percent than the average person. If an average person has a 2, 10, 30% of dying, then it's going to be 4, 20, 60%, anything that you can imagine, it's almost doubled with his problems and all the issues. People who die of cerebral palsy either die from secondary conditions like seizure disorders, or they die from pneumonia and lung failure because their muscles in their body don't work the same as people without. The brain damage causes issues, and every case is different. But with my son, he has had pneumonia at least once every 3 or 4 years his whole life, sometimes 4, 5, 6 times in 1 year. So it's right there in the highest of categories. So it's been definitely a fearful thing for me and Kalina to go through. And that's part of the one thing, I guess, that I really want to check in with everybody about too. There's a lot of people in our community that don't even have, they don't have a belief that the coronavirus exists. So I want to preface, as you guys know, obviously, with my own belief systems and my own energies. I highly resonate with what Aridif says. Aridif is an amazing entity. Anything that I perceive Aridif saying, I always take it as fact. I don't want you guys to do that. I would never ask you guys to do that. I think with channeling, both skepticism and discernment are very important tools. Channeling is something that is an art, not a science. Some people are really good at it. Some people are not. Another thing is every human who channels can have filters, can have good days, bad days. But when I'm connecting to Aridif personally, I kind of take the filtering position out of it. I also can hear channeling and know if there's something in there that has a possible chance of having some slight filter, or if it's something that they don't answer, it usually is because the energy can't connect for them, or that I've got a block there. That's kind of a larger one. And the reason I bring this up is because I personally, in my own opinion, trust the energy of what Aridif says and what he does, and the whole thing with how he presents his energy. Oh wow, holy moly, thank you, Channeling Channel. I appreciate that, brother. It has been a long time since I've seen you on. Thank you very much. I appreciate the donation, bud. Give me 1 second too, guys. I think Kalina is checking up. No, Kalina is not checking up on me. I heard my phone going off. Thank you, guys, for your love, your support. Channeling Channel, I'll hit you up with an email later. Thank you, bud. I appreciate it. So I personally believe Aridif when he channels. The one thing is that I would say that's that he's talked about, because Aridif has talked about the coronavirus at least 3 times now. None of that has made it to the YouTube channel because it's on Patreon, and we try to get clips from Patreon on, but because we've been so busy. I mean, look at tonight. I'm on at midnight. I've been trying to get on live stream since 9 p.m. So to get the extra clips and stuff out now just haven't been possible. But what Aridif said was a few things about coronavirus: that it is real, it does exist, it is a product of human intervention, which means that there was something that was manipulated, or the regular coronavirus was manipulated and turned into what it is. And this was said several weeks ago, the 15th, I believe. So it was before I had even really heard a lot about it. All I knew is that it came to the U.S. and it was shutting things down here. I don't listen to other channeling or other teachers unless someone points something out. So I figured, yes, I would assume that would be correct. So he also said that the reporting on the coronavirus and its effects is partially correct, partially incorrect, but the reporting on the amount of cases that are out there was incorrect. Now, there was a debate last night in Patreon. They were the people who heard this. They were the people who were the subject to the material at the time it was done. Some of them said that Aridif said the reporting was larger numbers than what the media was covering. Others said it was smaller. So I still don't know, and I'm sure it definitely could be definitely able to touch that tonight if that's subject comes up, which I'm sure it will. So those are the things we know so far from what Aridif said. That being said, I don't have a belief that it's not real. And this is the part, it's like when you guys saw the title, you're like 2012 all over again. What does that mean? All right, so the larger community has a lot of things going on with it. We've got people who believe that this isn't real. We have people who believe that it is real, but it's a smoke screen for things that are happening in the government, outside of the government, and to do away with certain parts of the government or the shadow government, especially in the United States. We have all of these different storylines, okay? The first one is the QAnon one, which our friend here, William, he follows that very diligently. He shares a lot of information with QAnon about me. A lot of really interesting stuff that has not a whole lot of good explanations besides that there is someone inside of the government, as they claim that they are, that know what's going on behind the administration with Donald Trump, etc. And we also have, outside of QAnon, we've got the David Wilcock situation, everything that he's been sharing. And again, I never listened to any of these people's information about it directly. It's either indirectly, or when David Wilcock started talking about coronavirus, then of course me and Kalina listened to a few of his episodes. And then we've got, let me think, what was the other big one out there besides what David Wilcock was saying and what QAnon was saying? A lot of, channelers. There were other channelers who were saying a lot of the same things QAnon was saying, some of the things that David Wilcock was saying, and also talking about galactic beings. Now, with the QAnon, I want to get a little more deep into what's going on here. QAnon has been around for a couple of years. They're basically saying that the administration or Donald Trump or people who work with Donald Trump or under Donald Trump are all collaborating together to put energy into removing cabal. Cabal is a word that's used for basically what the old conspiracy theorists, when I started finding out this information, like in 2008, called the Illuminati, or, the bad guys behind the scenes who pull all the strings, those guys. And a lot of pedophilia involved with the Pizzagate and all that stuff. A lot of Clinton emails and Podesta emails that hinted around using codes that were the same as pedophile. So if any of you guys are into any of this stuff and conspiracy theories, anything, you already know about this. Those of you who don't, I'm trying to make a linear thing, but there's so much to compact there. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to explain it. When Clinton and Podesta got arrested, there were emails. Some of those used code words that pedophilia or felony pedophiles were. This was already concluded by the DOJ, Department of Justice, FBI, CIA, all had paperwork out showing some of the symbols and words, the code words, and then these nonsensical emails that would use these words in ways that no humans are supposed to use the word, like pizza, that hence the name Pizzagate. Moloch, the god of children's sacrifice. I mean, all of these really crazy words and things that came in. And so there's a lot of crazy stuff that goes on there. And then at QAnon, it's said that Donald Trump joins in as president to try to get out corruption. He was happy that he was able to build a fortune in America. He loves America. And that's why he's agreed. A few generals talked to him, showed him information, and then, talked him into coming in and trying to get the pollution or corruption of Washington, D.C. out. And with that came a lot of not coincidence, things that a lot of people could not draw as coincidence. For example, QAnon will post in a place where only they can post. It's got a tag username that only that person is able to use, with people saying that these posts are also being linked back to the NSA, saying things like certain words that are in phrases that come in a speech that Donald Trump hasn't done yet, like 3 days before he has a speech. And then in that speech, he'll say the same exact phrase, word for word, exact same context and everything. So there's a lot of things that do show that there's a good possibility whoever QAnon is, the poster, is definitely related to Donald Trump or someone on his team. So you know, I concede that that's definitely probably the most likely outcome there. Now, what Aridif shared about QAnon that I remember, and William has had discussions with him about it too. Those I don't remember, those I hadn't listened to, but I do remember that when QAnon was brought up, when it first started coming out, obviously the people in our community say, what's going on with this? And what I remember Aridif saying is that, yes, there are people who work inside the government, who work outside the government, but in local agencies that are affiliated with the government, and that these people are trying to work for the betterment of humans, to get away those people who try to suppress us, to remove that suppression over us, you know, all of the things that we don't like, constant harassment by financially from the IRS, Treasury Department, you know, just those types of basic things. And he didn't use those examples, but I'm giving him examples for people to understand that any level of suppression that goes on against us as humans, and specifically for this in the United States, that there were people working against it, that those people were doing a lot of things to try to help the larger collective. He did also say that a lot of the things that would be said or that had already been said weren't necessarily true, that some of it was disinformation, some of it was misleading, some of it was misguided to pull attention away from other things, and kind of like when you're playing poker and you make a bad face, you know, you're trying to call someone and get them to think you're going one way and go the other way, a diversion of sorts, that some of that information was posted out as a diversion for those people who were suppressive and who were trying to take away freedoms, so that they could see it and think that they're going this way but go the other way. So some of it was a diversion tactic, others was just direct misinformation. And, you know, I think that's all he really said about it at that time. He said, you know, there will always be people who are trying to take away suppression, just like there's always people who tried to push suppression onto the human experience. It's been like that since the beginning of humans. Will continue. And that's what Aridif said about QAnon that I remember. Like I said, Williams talked to him a few times. There have been many questions. When I'm channeling, I don't remember what's being channeled. You know, I don't know unless someone tells me or unless I go back and listen to it sometimes. Then most of the things that are happening in the community now, honestly, I think are being taken from the QAnon and kind of being rebranded. And the coronavirus is the one energy that's really been able to get in there and kind of open up a lot of things for people. So you've got people taking things from QAnon that's going on and using it in their own work, like David Wilcock. Basically, David Wilcock, nothing I've heard him say the last 4 times he's went on air has had anything to do with anything but the QAnon, and he references QAnon over and over and over again. Some of the channelers who I was talking about, who are saying that galactics are working with humans or separately working against these cabal, are also basically the space edition, the Star Wars version edition of QAnon. So I think a lot of these things are being extracted from QAnon, QAnon being the more original and the oldest of all that I've heard, and just rebranded through the own personal channelers and David Wilcock's experience. So now our community is at a state that's different because our collective's at a state that's different. We've got all these different things going on. A lot of them are stealing from one source of energy that tends to be unique, that tends to have more proof than the rest, and that tends to have a higher population of people listening. It's not just the conspiracy community or the spiritual community who's following this. There are Christian communities, political communities that are all following QAnon. Therefore, all the other things that are going on are logical deductions that they're starting from the QAnon snowball and rolling downhill from there. David Wilcock, and this is, again, my opinion and probably not going to be popular for a lot of people. I don't care for David Wilcock very much. He's a good researcher. He's a brilliant guy. But nothing that he shared since 2012 has been really original. What bothers me about him is a list probably so long, and a lot of it, some of it's personal, some of it's not. The personal stuff will have less meaning for other people. And again, I know some of you are going to like him regardless of what I say, and that's beautiful. You should. My words shouldn't sway your thought processes, but I'm sharing my thought processes. One thing that's happened to me is I have shut down my own voice because I don't want that getting in the way of people hearing what I'm channeling. If I say, hey, I'm looking at politics and I think this candidate's good and this one sucks, half the people might stop listening to anything that Aridif or Treb might say afterwards if it's their first time visiting. And I don't want to do anything ever to get in the way of people receiving that gift. I know how wonderful the channeling is. I know how important it is. I know for me how much it changed me. And if there's that much of a percent of someone listening to that channeling and having the same effects and changes in their life that I did by meeting Treb, then I don't want them to miss it. So a lot of the time, my own opinion gets the back seat. But this has also caused problems in myself. I've had throat chakra issues going on, even a lump right here on my neck that started up about 3 years ago when I started going through some really heavy shifting. And when I wasn't able to speak my mind. And it was always concerned of two things. One being the fact that it could turn people away from the channeling, which I don't want them to miss. I don't want them to stop being able to listen to channeling and get something from it. Because even if someone listens to it and says, wow, channeling is stupid, they're still getting something from it. They're getting to test their belief systems. They're getting to test their experiences. So I don't want them to miss out. I also understand that every reality is valid. So if there's something I believe in strongly and someone else is like, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard, both of us are right and both of us are wrong. You know what I mean? The energy behind those ideas and those perspectives are both equally important and correct. And there's nothing wrong with having our own reality. Aridif, Treb both talk about creating your own reality and creating it strongly enough to create pretty much anything you want. So when someone says something to me that seems nonsensical or unbelievable, I have to know that it's possible that that can be created. And this is where I am with the QAnon stuff. And I'm going to take a drink before we get into this part real quick. The things that QAnon says are things that I have personally thought my whole life. I have always wanted the government that stands behind the government, that suppresses the rights of the people in the world, to not have the ability to do that. I also don't want, obviously, people being victimized physically, sexually, especially children. That's the one thing in the world that most humans can agree on, is that you don't hurt children, and you don't hurt them in that way, especially. Also, I can agree with the fact that having systems that we have now being revamped, kind of tore down and rebuilt, would be a very important societal thing, that this could be a great gift to all of us. And I think that the goals of having that happen is one of the most valiant and valuable things that humans can do with their time and energy, to give the rights back to people, to make sure that freedom, as they're promised in the United States, is by the Constitution. In other countries, it's through various governmental documents, or by, human law, the energy and law of the nature of our planet is supposed to be sovereignty, freedom, and the right to be and exist and do what you want, as long as you're not infringing on the rights of other human beings. Natural law is the most important law in all things. So, Constitution aside, as an American, Constitution means something more to me than it does someone who lives in France or in Belgium or wherever else in the world. But natural law is important and should be important to all. So I've always had that passion. When it comes to my politics, that's how I my own views the lens and perspective and belief systems of politics are always pulled through that lens, is that natural law is more important than anything else. So people are like, well, do you believe in guns? And do you believe in this? And I say, I believe everyone should have the right to do what they want, as long as it's not hurting other people. So if someone shoots someone with a gun, that hurts someone. If someone has a gun in their house to hunt or to target practice, that's not hurting anyone. So there's a natural law that will state, you have a freedom to do everything. And I think that's important. Now, where I have problems with, and this is where 2012 comes back to me again, our community in the year 2012, and a great deal of that was due to David Wilcock, who had just started getting in the public. And I don't know how many of you were here for that. I don't know how many of you remember the 2010 to 2012 area. I remember it real well. That's when I had met Treb and started working with channeling and started looking at everything in the community. David Wilcock came and publicly said, listen, this law of one channeling is amazing. This stuff is just the best channeling you can get. I myself am a channeler. And some people still don't believe me when I tell them that David Wilcock at one time was a channeler and channeled publicly. They don't believe me. But now you can go to YouTube and look up David Wilcock channeling, and he has one of his old channelings from 2008, 2010 back there. So in 2010, he starts talking about 2012 is going to be this huge shift. It talks about in the Law of One. It talks about it here. My own personal intuition tells me that this is going to happen, and ascension is going to happen. Now, that's fine. Most of us who are here because we resonate with what Aridif and Treb say, and they have said ascensional energy, ascension itself, fourth density graduation did occur on the 2012 mark. It's our perspective of third density and fourth density that keeps us in the third density creation. At least that's my belief, and some of you might get into that, some of you might not. But the point is, the way David Wilcock expressed this was, at that moment in December 21st on 2012, everyone's going to shift into their light body. There's going to be a bunch of humans who can't graduate to the next level. So they're thrown back into another planet of third density. They have to do it all over again. There's going to be new fourth density Earth version for every human. You're going to activate your light bodies. You're going to be able to fly. You're going to be able to teleport. You're going to be able to do this and that. And every human who doesn't get kicked back to third density, you're just going to wake up and it's going to be a whole different world in front of you. And tens of thousands of people were supporting that information. They were excited by that information. And it wasn't just him, to be fair. You had an entire group of channelers called the Galactic Federation of Light who were supporting some of that information. And what information they weren't supporting, they were saying, December 21st, 2012, we will land with our ships and we will start opening free contact with human beings. And these videos were getting tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of views. And there were videos every day, and they were all getting these tens of thousands to 100,000 views, thousands of thumbs up, tens of thousands of comments. You can actually go back and look at a lot of them. Like if you type in Galactic Federation of Light, October 2012, I mean, there's just a whole bunch of them. I'm trying to remember Greg Giles was one of the channelers. Mike something. I mean, there was just a whole bunch of them. And some of them came out with no names attached to them, but they all came through the same 5 to 10 YouTube channels. And all of them were saying the same thing. And there was a guy who had dedicated 10 years of his life to this channeling group that started channeling that information. And 2012 came and people's hearts were broken. They were devastated. Imagine to believe with everything you have that your troubles and worries and pain in your life and the death of the people around you and the sicknesses and the hardships with the relationship issues, family issues, everything that you had was going to go away. And that all you had to do is make it to that date and keep your mind positive and keep your hope up and keep your excitement up. And then waking up on that day and just waiting and waiting. And it's fortunate, those of you guys who were there with me back then when I was channeling, you guys listened to Treb and he told you the exact same thing that happened. It was a shifting energetic point. You're getting your new experience. You're going to the next part of your soul evolution, but it's not going to be overnight. It's not going to be a month. It's not going to be a year. It could take thousands of years for you to get from here to there. It depends on the collective consciousness. It depends on your own energetic exchange with yourself and your version of reality to be in the collective you want. And that's why Aridif had said many times, can you switch instantly? Can you change overnight? Yes. Is it likely? Probably not. The amount of faith, energy, not just faith, because faith is blind and knowledge and belief is a system. It's your soul, your whole essence and being. If you were to shift your belief systems, yes, you could, but most humans can't. We can't because humans live by one belief system almost more than any other one, and that was gotta see it to believe it. We are taught from the time we're born to be skeptical. We're taught to appreciate science, sometimes to appreciate religion, that this is the only power that's creative power and everything else is just lowly pieces of garbage. And the government's your God, science is your God, other thing. Never that you are. So it destroyed a lot of people's minds and hearts. Now, I know that nothing happened on accident. I know that those people who believed so strongly and had their hearts broken needed that experience. I know that there was their creation. I know that the pain and suffering they had probably led them to live better and happier lives. But it also pulled so many people out of our community. People left in droves and said all channeling is bad now because the one channeling was there. I mean, even David Wilcock now, who started in our community as a channeler, says, no, channeling's not good. Channeling's what made me believe that, and I told you that, and it didn't happen, so channeling's bad now. I don't have anything personal against David Wilcock, but he started leaving channeling before 2012 ever happened. He realized that in our community, and even to this day, there's not money in channeling. Some of you guys will look at my price and go, what do you mean there's not? But, I live like most humans live. I live month to month. I live with the energy of finances. And if you do the math, how many times I open up my calendar, less now than ever. Most channelers don't get rich. There are very few. Even really successful channelers make less than 3 figures per year. There's literally only a couple I can think of right off the top of my head that I know for a fact make 3 figures or more. Not or more, 3 figures in their salary or pay every year. It's not common. It's very, very uncommon. And he saw that. And to me, that's why I believe he stepped out of that, because there wasn't enough money to have. And that's fine. You got to have money to live. And if something's not doing, that's why you see channelers jump on YouTube for a month, a year, 2 years, and then never come back because they can't sustain that vibration of finances. I was lucky enough to be able to keep it going. The first 2 years I did all the work that I did and all the sessions I did for free. And then eventually when I started that, I was lucky enough to do it. My community supported me, which is great. That's why I love all of you guys here now, even the ones who weren't here back then. It was different though. Back then I was one of the only channelers on YouTube. There was very few. I actually believe in my own mind, from looking back at YouTube, I'm like the only channeler that I perceived at that time, besides Brad Johnson. He joined channeling right around the same time I did. But I was the only channeler I knew, especially for the first 2 years before I met Brad, who had made themselves well known in the channeling community. At then, I didn't make any money at it, but still, I was invited to a documentary with Darryl Anka, Lee Carroll, some of the channelers who've been doing it for 30 years, just through social media. So it was a very unique experience for me. And it also kept me plugged into the social media newsline. So why did I tell you guys about 2012? I'm sorry I went off on a little bit. Like I said, guys, too, it's almost 1 a.m. here. And with the baby and all that stuff, it's been crazy. But so why did I bring up 2012? Here's my concern. With the QAnon, is it possible? Yes. Yes, it is. Is it likely? I don't know. I'd like it to be true, but I'm not convinced at this point that it is. And I will keep my reservation for the possibility of it being true, knowing that. And again, I trust Aridif because I do. I'm not asking you to do the same. But when Aridif said that there's misinformation out there, I don't know what's misinformation and what's not. Therefore, I choose just to say, it's possible, but I'm not going to bank any money on it. I'm not going to bet on it. One of the reasons that gives me most skepticism is also going back to 2012. There were these same types of stories about people coming in and taking out the cabal and doing it through these underground networks and secretive, but they would share enough. David Wilcock, in fact, was back there right at the start of it. It started with a guy named Benjamin Fulford. Benjamin Fulford was an amazing guy. He was one of the constitutional dudes who was like, hey, people are messing with freedom. Don't do that. And then it got twisted into some really, really conspiracy type stuff. And conspiracy theories, I believe in a lot of them personally. I believe a lot of things aren't what we're told they are. But some of the things he was going out with got a little far out. Some of it was that there's these groups called White Hats, and that they were going in and knocking out cabal, and they were doing it secretively. And then he would tell you, within 2 years, you're going to see the system completely collapse. The financial system, the Federal Reserve will be broken down. All of these things that would happen. And then when time came, of course, it never happened. And then an adaptation came to his story, and in joined a guy named Cobra. And Cobra brought in his own story, his own background, his own side players, and all these people had their own stories and side players. And basically, when you got down to it, they started talking about higher dimensional beings helping them. And then it tied back into the Galactic Federation of Light. Then people started making that connection. Oh, the Galactic Federation of Light said that they're going to help take out the suppressive beings and powers, and that they're going to reset the financial system, and that they're going to do this. So that's what it is. And then when they were asked about it, are you talking about the Galactic? We can't say yes or no, but we will say that's Salu Sa, or what's the other one? Ashtar Command are some of the ones that work with us. And of course, that's Galactic Federation of Light energies and entities. And back then, I had a bad feeling about all of it. I didn't resonate with it right off the bat. I didn't feel like this was valid information, energy. It just didn't feel right. And it went against everything that my own was telling me. And again, my channeling isn't the end all be all, but for me it is. I resonate with it high enough to be able to channel it. Therefore, that's my belief. When I hear Aridif or Treb say something, I take it to the bank personally. And when Treb was asked, and Treb, you know how Treb is, guys. He's so tactful and sweet and beats around the bush when he's asked those types of questions like, hey, is this guy lying to me or not? And he was like, some of the energies aren't representing the actual energies that they say are. Until finally, he connected to a Pleaidian. The Pleaidian said, yeah, Galactic Federation of Light are a bunch of higher dimensional entities that are malevolent, or they're a bunch of dead humans. Depends on which portion you're channeling or what person's channeling, that like to mess with people or pick with people. So to me, that was my belief right there. I was like, wow, this sounds like it's really, bad stuff. It doesn't sound like it's going to resonate. It's going to pan out. And then 2012 came. And some of these people only had saw one aspect of these conspiracies that web together. And those aspects failed, so they saw the whole thing as a failure. But there were a large amount of people, like I said, tens of thousands of videos every day, hundreds of thousands seeing videos every day. And we're tied into all of it. I mean, all of these people were getting anywhere from 100,000 views to David Wilcock, which would get sometimes up to 250,000 views. So everyone put a lot of time and energy. And just like anything you put time and energy in, it doesn't pan out, it sucks. And it hurts your feelings, and it's personal. And it's really not okay, So anyway, a lot of this is feeling like that is to me. David Wilcock has been already telling people this time around, like recently, hey guys, you're going to see Hillary Clinton go to jail, or you're going to see all these people arrested, and we're going to have 3 days of blackout internet. Nobody will be able to see what's going on the phone or do this or that. And the QAnon is telling us things. And see, the QAnon community is a little different from David Wilcock for me, a lot different. David Wilcock, he always has a layer of protection. He always says, I'm being told this by insiders. And then when the insiders' information doesn't pan out, then he can't be held responsible for that information. But to me, when you're sharing something and saying, this is a fact, or this is something, you should be held accountable. It's like if Aridif or Treb said, I think it's best for you guys to go blow up a train station, and someone goes up and blows a train. I'm personally responsible for that. I brought the energy in front of people and brought that to manifest out. So my friend William, he went on his own channel today and said, a lot of people, when you get to a certain amount of followers, people look up to your advice, whether you have it or not. But he always has that layer. Plus QAnon, like I said, there's a lot of things that I've seen from William sharing with me that were a bit big to be coincidence. I truly believe that whoever's posting QAnon works with the president hand in hand, or very directly in a secondhand way. I do. Does that mean I believe everything that they're sharing? No, but it's not because I personally am invested that it's a lie. In fact, it's the opposite. I hope it is. I hope the things that are there are true. But for David Wilcock, like I said, because of the history and because I saw the fallout of 2012, it is a bit more personal to me. Plus the way he's attacked channelers too in the last 3-4 years when he was doing the show on Gaia TV. He basically said, everything that I say and Corey Good says, it's definitely fact. But if a channeler says it, no, don't listen to them. And to me, that was his own way of saying these people out here who have similar information or the same information, because I've seen channelers who I think are filtered heavily enough that they're just copying other people at this point. And you know them because they're following the fads of the community. One minute it's the same thing QAnon saying, the next minute they're copying what David Wilcock says. To me, either their channeling's got really filtered or they're just not channeling and they're just, copying, whatever the case is. And you'll see that go around. But that was David Wilcock's way to just say, hey, these people shouldn't be listened to. And like I said, there's so much more with David Wilcock I have issue with besides that. Like the suing of people, not over financial loss. Like a lot of people got mad when Bashar Communications started saying, hey, we don't want people messing with our copywritten stuff. It hurts our finances. A company of like 12 people who work full time, they were getting copyright. That's different. I understand that to a perspective. I also understand to say, hey, if I can get it for free, I'm going to get it for free. Both of those are valid perspectives to me as well. But when you sue someone because they say something about you that might be damning by another person's standards, like if they're accusing you of stealing money from people and then you go to sue them, it's just a little weird to me. And like I said, I think a lot of that's my own biases from seeing all this stuff wrap up for the last year. But it's relevant. Right now, he's talking the same things that he's been talking since 2012, just with a different bow around it. And I don't feel good about it. I don't feel good about what he's saying. The things that he's saying that aren't recycled QAnon stuff, which pretty much 85% of everything I've heard him say is directly stolen from QAnon or given credit. So it's not really stolen. It's being reshared. But the other stuff, I don't feel great about it. And like I said, I don't feel bad or good about the QAnon stuff. I feel some things are much more relevant and resonant as far as the proofs that are shown. I've seen enough of it to say, hey, this part could be very real. A lot of the energy behind the pedophilia, that stuff's rough for me because it's natural inclination as a father of 2 kids and as an uncle to multiple. And I basically raised my son's mother's nieces and nephews that were around. I helped raise them. I used to babysit them 10 hours a day, like 6 of them at a time. So I've been, kids are their well-being and safety. But if you're trying to tell a story, that's a good way to tell it too. If you make pedophiles the bad guy, then everyone's going to hate them. You know what I mean? Like I said, I'm not I don't want to disrespect any of you guys if you believe in these things or you're very resonant with them. I just want to share my own perspective on it because it's for me it's rough for me to watch. I don't want to see people step away from the community by the tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands like they did last time. Seeing that hurt my heart because I was like, these people have so much growth left. They have so much expansion left that they have with this community. If they were able to find the parts of the community that weren't just trying to sell them the best story. Um, and it did. It sucked. It actually, I get emotional now even talking about it because I remember. And we've got people who are really close to us who are really tied into this, the Wilcock and Court Good stuff. And, if that blows up in their face, it affects people we love and care for deeply. And that's rough. That's a scary feeling, And I know it's not my responsibility. And like I said, if I'm proven wrong, especially about the QAnon stuff, that's great. I mean, that's a good thing. I'd really like that. I just my own energy isn't resonating with the whole picture of it. It's still not feeling right for me. Anyway, guys, I'm done with that subject. You guys have patiently listened to me in great anticipation for Aridif. So we want to bring Aridif in, guys, and get him to chat with all of you guys about this now moment energy, about coronavirus, about all the things that he feels is important to talk to you guys about. All right, and I'm catching up. I haven't been watching the chat, so forgive me, guys. All right, guys. All right, guys. All right. Well, thank you, guys. I appreciate everything, guys. You guys are great. All right. I am going to be back in just about 5 to 7 minutes. I'm going to neutralize, get everything set up, get ready to rock and roll. And when I come back, we are going to bring forward Aridif. We're going to have him chat. We're going to get it going, and it's going to be rocking and rolling, guys. Love you guys. Thanks for showing up tonight. Thank you for listening to me as I shared. It was something I needed to share with my own energy, and I appreciate you guys putting up with it. Thank you, guys. Love you, and I will see you guys. Let's make it realistic. It'll probably be 5 to 10 minutes because I've got to get more water, use the restroom, stuff like that. So enjoy yourself, guys, for a few minutes. Stretch out, get relaxed. I'm going to keep the stream going. I'm just going to cut the mic and the camera real quick, guys. See you in a few. Love you guys. All right, everybody. We are back. Before I get into sharing with you something about the channeling, I do want to bring in a special guest very quickly. This is Lilith Satori Gauthier. She turned 9 months on the 25th of last month.
No, this month. Oh yeah, last month.
Yeah, it's April.
Holy crap.
It is April, yeah. So this is the one and only, right? And this is the reason we don't get a ton of sleep.
As you can see, she lives by her name.
Yes, she does.
She's a little night queen.
She is.
She's laughing about it too.
So this is Lilith, and we'll get a nice close up for you guys. A smile for everybody. Tell them hello. Hello. All right, guys. That's the Burgles. We call her Burglar for short. It's her nickname, and we have no idea how it came, but we figured out why.
Yeah.
Because she burgles our hearts every moment.
Yeah,
all right, Mama.
Hi, guys. Just wanted to say hi.
Kalina says hello, and she sends you guys all her love, too.
All right, we're going to go back over here.
Love you guys.
We love you, too. Whoops. Sorry.
Oh. Dark. There's our 3 days of dark.
It only lasted for a second. You're welcome. Love you guys.
Love you too, baby. Love you, baby.
Watching.
All right.
Our internet over there is slow, so
that's fine. I understand.
If I don't get to comments, it's either because baby, storyline baby queen, or it's just a slow internet.
I don't know if you guys heard her, but Kalina said she's watching, but the internet's slow. When I came out to neutralize, she's like, "What's going on? You're still talking here." And I looked, and it was like 10 minutes behind. I was like, "Whoa, yeah, her internet really did get slow." So I want to talk to you guys real quick. Thank you guys. I appreciate that. I want to talk to you guys real quick about how the channeling part of it works mechanically. I always share this with people. Usually it's when people are asking personal questions. But I share this with people when they've done their first session or done 100. Basically, when we're going to ask Aridif about this collectively, he's going to look at all the energies that are relative to this. Normally, if it's an individual, he would look at your energies about the question you'd ask. If you ask about relationships, he'd look at your heart chakra, your sense of self, your safety. He would look at your emotional energy, your mental energy. He'd look as it connects to the higher self and then goes out and connects to your guides. He looks at all the points of energy that pass. A lot of them we have, no idea that we even have those levels of energy. And then he reflects back from his own perspective. And the reason I explain that to everybody, this is a heavier subject. So when you're listening back to it, whether you're here live with us tonight or you listen to this a year from now, just try to remember when you're receiving the information, the more excited you are, the more in alignment with excitement you are, the more happy you are. Even if it's just excited to get information about a hard subject that might be useful for you, try to bring that to the forefront, because that way you'll receive that energy and information in a more excitable or excite-worthy way. Some of you have never seen me channel live. I realize we do have a lot of new subscribers from the Gaia TV interview with Extra Dimensional program that Ruben Langdon created and featured Aridif and Treb on. So what you're going to do, or what you're going to see tonight, is after I close my eyes and take a breath, you're going to hear some breathing, some really loud oming sounds, and then you're going to hear Aridif come in. And when he comes in, he'll greet you guys, and then he'll talk about just the general space of energy that all of us are in today. The coronavirus itself, the energy behind that. I've asked him to focus on a few different spots of it. I want him to talk about the collective reason for the energy. I want him to talk about what the virus is, energetically, physically, all that stuff, and anything he thinks that's important for the collective to know. I've also seen some of your guys' comments and feedback, so all that's seen by me, which means he has access to it too. So enjoy yourself, guys, as best as you can, even though the subject matter can be very tough or very hard tonight. Just try to remember we're all here for a reason. We all chose to be here on Earth. We've all manifested the experiences that led us up to this point. So just try to enjoy yourself as best you can. I'm going to get a couple drinks of water before we go in. It definitely is one of those times. Yeah. Interesting, guys. All right. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it too. All of you guys. Love you very much. And thank you. All right, guys. I am going to take a deep breath. After I get a little bit of water, we're going to connect with Diffie Doo. All right, guys. Here we go. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate that. All right. Love you guys. Greetings to all. This is Aridif. That is ARIDIF, and this is it spelled. We understand all of you desire to know more about the energy of your now moment and the energy behind the coronavirus in your collective consciousness. But before diving into this construct, there are two things in which we wish to express. The first, above and beyond all things expressed within this day, to know, feel, and to perceive that you are loved, in our perspective, is of the utmost importance. Secondly, it is our greatest excitement, and within that same great excitement, in which we co-create with you, not only in this moment, but through all moments of your linear time. We will hydrate Rob's throat and continue. As you perceive the coronavirus and the energy in the collective consciousness, it is a multifaceted subject in which we can branch deeply into multiple directions, but the most relevant in this moment have three different points of energy that we wish to discuss. First, the effect upon the collective consciousness and the reason for the manifestation of the collective consciousness. Secondly, how you are dealing with your day-to-day experience and some tools that will help you deal even further in these constructs of energy. Thirdly, as you perceive the energy in the collective consciousness, what is next for the collective consciousness? What are the options? What are the probabilities? And what are the perspectives that can be held from understanding all of these things? First, coronavirus energy is a co-created part of your collective consciousness. Yes, all of you create upon your singular level, as all of you are aware. And as you create within your own conscious, you see that the energies in front of you are direct experiences and direct results of the energies in which you put into your own experience. For example, as you are creating, you put thought processes into your computer program of physical reality. Your belief systems are the parameters in which the program is written. Your action is the placing of code and the entering button into this construct. And the string of thoughts in alignment or out of alignment with your natural self is the programming correct portions and the incorrect portions of programming. And when we say correct and incorrect, we do not mean some are correct and some are incorrect as right and wrong. What we mean are the correct portions of energy create no resistance within your programming. The incorrect create resistance. As all of you are aware, even that which is highly resistant to your experience is still a great tool to teach your experience at, which you co-create with and you create personally with. Knowing this, we wish to express that in a singular creation, all of you have a different reason for being a part of this co-created collective consciousness. Yes, all of you have the opportunity to come in and out of the version of realities that you desire and are in most alignment with you, not meaning that you are able to simply think a thought and be transmitted back into another dimensional energy that is not your own, or back into an alternate version of your reality. The energy of your overall vibration dictates the place in which you reside, and all of you have chosen this version of Earth, this timeline of Earth, in this moment in Earth to co-create with. And all of you have placed equal portions of your energy in the creation and co-creations about. Understanding your Earth collective consciousness is a time for self-reflection in your year 2020. The energies that are looking inward about yourself, and most humans, as they go through an experience that is experienced as highly negative or traumatic for you, often go into the self-reflection mode. This experience is no different. This experience is an amplified version of all experiences that most of you have had for the ability to self-reflect. Most of you have the opportunity to take hours in a day and reflect upon the constructs around you. There's a great deal of the population that in the last 4 months have had the opportunity to take weeks or days to mold over deeply the constructs that lie within their own mind, the constructs that lie deeply within their belief systems, and the energy about the reasons why they are co-creating with this creation in the first place. Collectively, there are magnitudes of reasons in which the co-creations of all of you have created this energy. First of all, you look at the individual lessons that are being taught, the reasons why the manifestation occurs, and this spectrum is in itself a large enough vibrational spectrum to create hours of reasons and personal identities. But let us take the most common. First of all, reform to a system in which your minds perceive as broken. Your medical system, your governmental system, your social systems, all in one way or another seem misplaced to you, seem broken to you, seem bent to you, or seem out of place energetically as a part of your desired co-created collective. And this is one of the greatest reasons for the majority of entities that reside within the Earth Collective at this moment. Second reasoning, as all of you have perceived, the Earth getting smaller and then larger and then smaller again, you perceive the fluctuation that coincides with this energy in human beings, their ability to co-create and communicate with one another. You perceive the internet collective consciousness that gives you the opportunity to bring forward multiple personalities in which would never have the opportunity to physically interact and to commingle in a certain time space of your planetary consciousness, and give them all the opportunity to share energetic space with their verbal sharings, with their mental sharings. And all of those energies are a massive co-creative position that all of you have desired for long periods of time and now have accessible to your fingertip. This brought the world closer, co-creating with the internet and its own evolution, having those that hold large corporations taking part in great deal of that internet collective and cornering certain markets of social media, allowed them to use it as a tool to first look at all of your desires, then sell back your own desires too. This created greed in those places of social media and created seclusion for many of you. This brought the world further apart. The movement that the coronavirus gives is the opportunity for the bringing back close together multiple entities, emotionally and mentally and spiritually, that were having such separated and segregated experiences with your newfound social media expression. The other opportunities that are important and relevant in the co-created collective consciousness is the opportunity to truly learn about those around you, those who you hold dear. Some of you are gathering towards the physical elements of sickness. This energy is something personally that you go through, but collectively must be observed by many others. Your state of consciousness in times of sickness also show the larger spectrum of the opposite side of your desired self. Most of you in times of sickness are either shutting down your physical bodies, minds, emotions to the greatest degree available to you in that moment, or you are reverting back into older behavior patterns, such as anger, such as lashing outward. And when co-creating with others, it gives them the opportunity to see where vibration that you have in the furthest side of you differs from the closest side of yourself in the co-creation. It also gives you the opportunity to observe the loved ones around you in a similar fashion. We'll hydrate and continue. Another opportunity afforded by the collective consciousness, and one of the greatest reasons in the spectrum of multiple reasons personally that individuals will co-create this experience, are for those who hold physically old bodies, physically disabled bodies, or unwell physical bodies, an opportunity for your exit point. There are multiple exit points that a soul has in their expression of life. Those are used to leave the physical reality once their journey is done, and there are several of those energies designed by the soul essence of the higher fractal consciousness before entering the physical body, knowing that the points of exit will be different in each incarnation, due to the fact that the lower fractal consciousness is the driving factor of free will and the driving factor of momentum in one's experience. The lower fractal consciousness, your day-to-day self, is the smallest portion of consciousness within you. The higher fractal is the rest of what is not embedded within your body. Most humans understand in these circles that will hear our words what the higher fractal consciousness is. And most of you understand that this is your connection to source energy. As you tap into the higher fractal consciousness, it gives you access to your oversouls, to other fractals in which you have been in your linear time or will be in your linear time. And that higher self brings inspiration from the higher dimensions and higher density entities that desire to co-create with you. It is truly your pathway to oneness. In that co-creation and collaboration with both energies, most humans perceive the higher self as what is in charge. The higher self is what drives the mechanism of your physical day-to-day experience, but in fact, it is quite the opposite. It is the lower fractal consciousness, the energy of your soul that lives physically inside of your body, that does not have a direct connection knowingly to source energy, that does not feel the connection to source energy intimately without work and opening that experience, is in fact the fractal of consciousness that motivates movement in the soul essence. By doing so, it can create energies of fast evolutions, slow evolutions, positive and negative experiences. Often the soul as an entirety chooses, the lower fractal and higher fractal together, what exit point to use, but can never be known beforehand, as the lower fractal consciousness and its free will mechanism often chooses much different path than what was predetermined or pre-desired before entering physical reality. With that known, that even those with healthy bodies have placed possible exit points in this time that is perceived as your pandemic experience, knowing that illness in one and illness in many are quite different of the opportunity to leave the physical body. Another reason for individuals in the co-creator collective consciousness to have manifested themselves into the collective version that does hold the virus energy is to perceive the possibility of growth from a global perspective, the possibility of growth in humans as a co-creator collaborator, the possibility of growth in governments themselves, in individuals within your government structures, and within those same medical systems that we've shared previously. Collectively, all of those reasons are reflected outward from the micro to the macro, perceiving that energy of what is within is always without, what is part of the internal essence of your soul must be manifested outward in larger scales, and in fact all things that you perceive in your external experience are of course the internal manifestation outward. Many of you heard Rob speaking as he introduced what we have shared previously about this construct. We will not go in great detail, but we will share, of course, the energy of your virus was in fact a manipulation of your previous energy virus and created a larger, more potent version of that energy. What we ourselves cannot perceive is the intent behind the virus, as it is well hidden as a part of an energy that is neither showing itself to be accidental or purposeful, only showing itself to be a release from the physical structure created by human hands, manipulated by human essences, and released into the Earth collective consciousness. Again, whether this is accidental or intentional is not within our scope of perception. Not only is it not in the scope of our perception, in our perspective it does not matter. What matters is the experiences that each and every one of you are having as it pertains. Some of you are perceiving this opportunity for multiple beings to co-create their own energies of helping the collective in larger ways, to use it as a smoke screen, for lack of better terms, to utilize their own desires to clear the earth negative entities, negative beings, negative systems that are set upon by your earth co-created collective consciousness. What we can share with you is there are always resonant points and lack of resonant points within all subjects that we can express in this moment. There are humans who utilize the energy of the emergency for their benefit in ways to positively help others, as there are entities who are utilizing this vibration as an opportunity to administer negative expressions upon those that are around them, suppressing them, etc. Those entities who work within their own ability to relieve suppression are doing so for their own excitement to share a freer version of the Earth collective consciousness with each of you, and do so by the understanding that they hold within themselves. We do not share the energy of the entities individually as they co-create with others. What we can share with you is what is shown to us in the collective consciousness, and in this moment there are multiple beings who are trying to help alleviate the stress upon the financial energy, your medical system energy, and your political system energy that is overbearing in this moment, that is overwhelming the load of support within this co-created collective consciousness of your earth creation. Knowing this, it will manifest outward deeply and differently for each of you. Some of you will perceive your medical system being better the next time that you use it, after this pandemic expression is gone. Others will see it in much larger ways, such as perceiving the entities that are involved in large amounts of disconnection to be removed from their ability to suppress others. All of you experience this differently because one energy is being shared in this moment. That is the virus energy. The personal lessons for all of you are so vastly individual that you cannot simply share all of the expressions and have those completely match the person next to you. Each of you have manifested your way into this collective consciousness in a much different format. Each of you has had opportunity to manifest your desired expressions also. Now we understand Rob's own perspective and thought process. His own perspective remains in the ideologies that those who manifest for themselves do not need others to manifest for them. And we understand this to a great degree in our own co-created collective consciousness. Our personal desires are manifest personally by the individual consciousness that desires them. But the Earth collective consciousness often uses co-creation as a part of the co-created collective consciousness to open opportunities that one human being is not able to manifest themselves. Part of this is the help of your financial system and your medical system. Other parts will be individually shown to you and manifest to you differently. The energies behind all of your excitements or fears behind these energies come from a place of your own personal perspective. Praising that personal perspective is vitally important in our perspective. We understand that all of you are perceiving your own experience so realistically and so in depth that it can be difficult to perceive the other entities' perspectives and their own manifestations around you. This does not take away from any of the manifestations that were not focused upon. In fact, it can make it more real to you after all is said and done, and you perceive those manifestations that were not perceivable before, or perceive the energies in which you placed great deal of time and effort not come to fruition, for something better to replace it comes soon after. All of you understand that in each of your experiences, this energy will affect all of you in quite a different way. We wish solely to remind all of you, in our own perspective, the second most important thing that we can share in this evening is that as you go through this experience, be mindful of yourself. Be honest with yourself. Experience what comes in front of you without judgment. There will be times where you are self-deprecating. This is not something that we would suggest to humans to do alone, but when you are having co-creations and creations of magnitudes that feel this different or negative for you, we can see the place for that momentarily. Remind yourself it does not need to continue. You do not need to self-deprecate for any long periods of time to know that it is only one tool of many that will not work for you, that will not help you grow or expand or manifest what you desire more quickly. Giving yourself patience and love, of course, is the greatest tool to open your experience at that moment. We also wish to express to all of you there are a great deal of many things that will be heard by all of you, both independently and collectively, as you go into your next 3.5 weeks of your time. We wish for all of you to listen to that with your intuition wide open. It will be truer for some of you than others, and the expressions of the ever-changing consciousness will allow you and afford you the opportunity to either be a part of that manifestation or to be a part of self-manifestation. The energies of healing, both economically and physically, is the first order that most of you will embark upon. Secondly, the opportunity to prepare yourselves for possibilities of this in your next experience. Those of you who prepare and do so with excitement, knowing that you live in a vibrational frequency that holds spectrum of both negative experience and positive, and cannot create deep fearfulness in yourself. Preparation can be a great excitement. It can be a great motivator of growth and an inhibitor of unrational fears from your perspective. As you go forward into that period and energy, you can perceive a great deal about yourself and those around you. Continue to keep vigilant within your eyes open and your heart open as well. We also wish to express that the possibility of the energy running worldwide for long periods of time is extraordinarily low. It is under 12% for it to last multiples of years. it is under 15% to last more than 1.5 years. And it is under 60% possibility for it to last the energy of more than 1 month. Going within that construct, 3 weeks to 3 months is the highest possibilities and probabilities. And in those times, the fluctuation of energy that will occur will be different in different geographical locations or Earth Collective. One moment we'll hydrate and continue. There are also high probabilities of mutations of the virus in a natural state to occur. The mutations can be, of course, much lower in their effect and impact upon the human experience. And of course, in very small probabilities, under 1.5%, could it be a worse mutation. Focusing upon that mutation that would be of lesser degree harm co-created energy upon impact physically of others would be our own suggestion. Most of you are perceiving manifestation in your reality solely from your mind and thoughts shape your reality by the way that you interpret what happens around you. And of course, this is highly true to an extent. But more realistically and more literally, your own mindset and beliefs as a singular entity and a collective also determine the larger portions of consciousness and co-creating. If enough of you believe that it is highly possible for mutation to exist that is as harmless as its predecessors, then you will perceive the energies of your common code coming back into your experience more so than the harsher version that all of you are co-creating within this moment. Knowing the power as individual creator and co-created collective creators is also highly important. We understand many of you have many more questions, and those questions in our own perspective would take hundreds of hours to answer. We understand that limitation of time in Rob's own experience and in yours prohibit that co-creational energies and that variety of co-creating time. So we shall express this to you before disconnecting. As you are going through this experience, remind yourself that each and every one of you are co-creating. And just as we, perceiving your own energy, as we explore the thought processes of yourself, can learn about our own self, so too can human to human in a fellow version of co-creation. The more that you listen to other perspectives than your own, the more that you listen to energies, whether they are resonant with you or not, and at least open the mind and heart to them, the more possibility there will be parts of your own self that you will be able to explore that were never experienced previously. Knowing this, it gives you the opportunity to grow and expand with both resonating energy and with non-resonating energy as well. In our own perspective, both energies manifest growth and expansion in singular creation, but more so in co-created creation. We wish to express to all of you, not only are you loved, but we love you as well. We will bid you all adieu for this evening. All right, guys. All right. Hey, guys. All right. So that was it, man. I am ready to jump off. I'm a little disconnected still, a little wore down. I definitely want to tell you guys how much I appreciate you joining in, jumping in today. I'm going to try to be on more. as we have more energy and time to give lately. Less one-on-one sessions have been coming out, and the less of those that we get, the more time we have to come on here and talk with you guys. Last night, when we were on Patreon, we brought a special entity that came in, a guest entity, to talk to everyone there. And I think that would be a good idea too, to be able to get a lot of different perspectives on what's going on with the coronavirus and with Earth right now. So anyway, guys, I'm off for the night. I love you guys. Thanks for hanging in there. Thanks again for putting up with me before the channeling on my own personal thoughts and opinions of the day. It was something I felt like I wanted to share. It was important for me to share, at least if for no one else but me, for me. And I appreciate you guys being the bounce boards for that and the listening people for that. Anyway, guys, I'll let you guys be. I love you guys very much. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Have a great one, guys, and we'll definitely try to get on more frequently. Kalina also, I'm sure, will tell you guys she sends you her love too. And we'll see you guys soon, all right? Thanks again, guys, for showing up tonight. Love you guys. Bye.